What's going on, guys? All right, I want to do this quick video. And this individual, Bill Holter, he was interviewed by Greg Hunter. This was, a few weeks ago. I have interviewed Greg Hunter, I think once. He was very nice when I interviewed him. He used to work on CNN. But I wanted to look at one of his guests, uh, Bill Holter. It's going to look like caveman days. And I want to read you this. What will the end of 2017 look like? Financial writer Bill Holter says, I don't think it will even resemble what it looks like today. I think you may see the financial system come down, and it may be the end of the year that the system's coming back or coming back online. We're going to have a bank holiday. We're going to have some sort of reset. This will include a bank holiday. Your ATM won't work. Your credit cards won't work. Distribution is going to fail. It's all about credit. Everything financial and everything economic relies on credit. I believe we're going to have a credit crisis this year where credit becomes very scarce or actually dries up completely. In that scenario, it's not good. You're talking about distribution breaking down and people going hungry, riots, martial law, cross default from country to country, bank to bank, and broker to broker to broker. Everything runs and lives on credit, and without credit, it's almost like caveman days. Okay, look at that. It's almost like caveman days. Now, I wanted to look at a few instances where people didn't have credit cards or have access to their bank accounts. This was in Cyprus a few years back. This was in Greece. It was a year or two back. And what happened was the banks were off for a few weeks, and then life started to get back to normal again. But there was definitely stress in the economy. So Milton or Mr. Holter is guessing that the bank holidays are going to maybe occur this year. I used to think along the lines of this that hey, it could happen any day, this and that, but I've learned over time that a lot of people have been saying this for a long time. And yes, one day we will have another bank holiday, aka bail in situation like we saw in Cyprus and in Greece, but that's like a 10 standard deviation move. You can't constantly live in this type of fear and pandemonium when you're trying to look at financial markets. And this is what I've learned over time. And I wanted to look at what Mr. Holter said a few years ago. And this article was posted on Silver Doctors in 2013, almost 4 years ago. And this was an, I think Bill used to work for Miles Franklin. And I want you to look at this article. Force majeure was the end game all along. Comex will default in the next week. This was April 2013. The Comex will default in the next week or several weeks, and people will be settled with dollars. No more metal will be delivered. Get that. The Comex will default. I mean, I get it. The Comex, it's a fractional reserve bank. Not a fractional reserve bank, but it's fractional reserve when it comes to buying and selling and whatever, right? The amount of gold out there versus the amount of paper gold, there's a huge difference, right? But you're playing with paper when you're dealing with the futures markets. And most people, if they're playing in the futures market, they're playing usually with paper gold. But once again, most of these guys do not take delivery. When I play in the futures markets, I usually play the small contract, right? The micro contract these days. And that is because if you're dealing with big contracts and leverage, it screws with your head. Unless you actually have the funds to deal with it, or you want to use those funds to play with the big money. But long story short, Bill Holter was talking about the Comex default will happen in the next week, 4 years back. And what is he saying now? He's saying now that it could look like caveman days based on the quote that I'm looking at right now. it could look like caveman days. So, long story short, I just want to tell you guys, whenever you listen to these type of interviews, you may agree with like more than half the things that he's talking about. I was listening to the interview and I was agreeing a lot when it came to WikiLeaks, the corruption in our financial system, this and that. But then when they get into the situation, how we're going to have a bank holiday, we're going to have this and that, and especially looking at what he said in 2013, it makes you think twice before you want to actually take the advice and prepare like a prepper. And don't get me wrong, I have made some preparations just in case that day happens, but I don't live my life every day now expecting the economy is going to crash sometime this year or sometime next year, sometime in the next decade. The goal is to enjoy your life, to take this noise out of the background, and just look at other information to help you when it comes to investing. Because when you listen to these type of interviews, while we may agree with 60 to 70% of what they say, once they get into the crash mode talk, that's when I start to ignore that. There are other ways to determine when the economy is going to slow down, when it's going to pick up, or when's a better buying opportunity versus when's not a good buying opportunity. And I'll do some videos on that later on when it comes to PMs. But, anyways, guys, leave your thoughts below. I'll talk to you later.